1, 2, 3. Alright, can we try that again? So I'm back at marking point. Ready?
I love that.
Iris
so
forgot
funny.
to do the clap in case you didn't pick up on what just happened there.
I saw. Oh my god. Can we put this into the episode somehow?
That's why I narrated it, because this is going to be our intro now. Alright, ready? Let's start this thing. 1, 2, 3.
Pigeon. Make Maddie proud, make Daddy proud. Don't dye your hair. It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the For Fuck's Sake podcast. Guys, we're no longer just international. We're global. Iris is out in Switzerland, repping across the pond. We are a global sensation. Not really, but we could be. Iris, take us away.
I am so happy to be here. I don't think I have been on an episode since I was in America back in January. And, the culture shock here is real. I'll say it. There are many things I could touch upon, but I feel like I should be more timely with what has recently happened, because I've never been in a serious relationship or been broken up with, but the experience of Zach Boychuk unfollowing me on Twitter is just... my heart has been broken. But I was listening to the Steve Dangle podcast this week, and apparently Zach Boychuk plays hockey in Switzerland, in Bern. So rest assured, I will find you, Zach. And not to be, no hostility, I swear. It's just, I feel like we need to talk heart to heart, man to man. Earn this follow back.
Where the fuck is Shey going?
Oh no!
Shey just disappeared.
No,
right.
Shey's running over to join me in my efforts. Okay. It's fine.
Okay, here's my question. Is it worse that, Zach Boychuk unfollowing everybody, or the fact that I've been on hockey Twitter for 2 years and never got the Zach Boychuk follow?
Never?
Never.
Oh, no.
The bot never found me.
Do you feel like you're just above us all, or are you feeling the FOMO?
I used to feel FOMO, and then it was a sense of pride. Zach Boychuk doesn't follow me. I'm the cool kid, anti-establishment, fuck the government. But now that it's all gone, I want the follow. He follows 75 people. It'd be cool if I was number 76, or if the podcast was number 76.
True. True.
I want the follow again. Get him to follow you and get him to follow the podcast, and then we'll be good.
Well, I'm going to Bern this month, actually. So, Zach Boychuk, let's meet up. Let's make things happen. I'm ready.
Just slide into Zach Boychuk's DM.
I mean, Switzerland is the home of the UN, not the DMs, the UN. We're here for negotiations. We're here for humanitarianism. Treaties. Yeah. This is just one of many.
Geneva's in Austria, right?
No, Geneva is in Switzerland. I am living in Geneva, Switzerland.
Okay, then you would know.
Yes.
Then it's the Geneva conference. It's you and Zach Boychuk sitting down to come up with a treaty for hockey Twitter and how hockey Twitter is going to go from now on.
Yes, Geneva Conference 2.0. Let's do it.
Convention. That's the word.
Geneva Convention 2.0. I am a college-educated person. It's fine. We're okay.
It's fine. Whatever. We don't have history people anymore.
Government is not history. Political science is not history, so nobody can hold me accountable for this. It's fine.
The political major doesn't know the Geneva Convention.
Listen. It's a Saturday. I'm off. It's fine. Someone else. Right. Go ahead. I'm rusty.
Shey, go.
All right. You're rusty. I'm the one that can only have things for a day and a half without breaking them.
What'd you do?
So if you follow the Twitter, the For Puck's Sake podcast Twitter, you saw the whole ordeal with like, oh, I got a tractor. I became a farmer girl. And then I mowed my lawn. I only had the tractor for a day and a half, and I broke it. And then I did it again, but this time with a bike. On International Women's Day, I learned how to ride a bike for the first time, even though I'm 24 years old. Today I go out and I try to ride the bike. I broke the bike. I don't know what happened, but it stopped working.
Wait, so you know how to ride a bike, correct?
I've learned as of yesterday.
Did you have training wheels?
Without training wheels, yes.
Oh,
How do you
okay,
make it
without.
24 years without knowing how to ride a bike?
I lived in Miami. Why would I need a bike? Why would I need anything? They have public transportation. It's a city.
I don't know. City means bike to me.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, everybody should know how to ride a bike. Like, what did you do as a kid?
Not ride bikes. Went to the beach like a normal person.
You ride your bike to, like, down the shore, you ride your bike to the beach.
Not in... Well, technically you can in here, but, like, why would you do that?
I don't
know if this is gonna make you... I don't know if this is gonna make you mad or not, but, like, I also don't know how to swim.
You're from Florida.
You're from Florida.
My sister doesn't know how to ride a bike and doesn't know how to swim, but we're from, like, landlocked rural Pennsylvania. Like, she had no reason to know those things. My cousins who lived in Florida, literally, before they could, like, walk, they were thrown into a pool. Like, if you meet an alligator, this is what you do. And they were thrown into a pool. Like, I don't understand.
See,
Wait, alligators?
Those were not congruent things. I was like, one, this is what you do with an alligator. Two, throw into a pool, learn how to swim. I realized that they sounded like the same thing, different things, different events.
Well, if it restores my Floridianness, like, I've ridden an alligator before, but, like, I don't know how to swim.
That moves you to the panhandle of Florida.
I tried to, like, because they put me in, like, swimming classes when I was a kid at this thing called Venetian Pool, which is, like, a natural, like, swimming pool. And I got an infection and then just never finished learning how to swim. I learned like the jellyfish thing where, like, you bob down like that and then that's it.
This is the most panhandle thing I've ever fucking heard.
A
like,
natural
you can still be
swimming
Floridian,
pool.
but you lose your cool Miami-ness. You're now from the panhandle. I don't make the rules. These are just facts now.
I live in Central Florida now. I live next to, like, 5 swamps. When I was mowing my lawn, I felt so bad because I killed, like, a whole bunch of frogs.
Oh.
Like, I've lost my cool Miami-ness the moment I moved to Central Florida. It's fine. I said this to, like, the group once. You guys witnessed this where, like, I was drunk and I somehow ended up in a Walmart and almost bought shoes in, like, that camo print, like the real, like, hick camo print, and I lost my mind. Anyways, that wasn't supposed to be my round table topic, but
You're from the panhandle now.
but that's what happened. Speaking of, like, Miami people doing stupid shit, this guy, his Twitter handle is @MiamiSportsGod, I believe. He bought $100 ticket that included, like, free food and, like, free beer and sat behind the Florida Panthers bench and just to scream at Bob Bugner. That was his, like, goal. His goal was to scream at Bob Bugner and some of the players of the Florida Panthers, and he was going to throw his jersey on the ice or whatever. Then the Panthers had a good game, but he still screamed at Bob Bugner, and, like, he had, like, skipped down some rows, so he ended up getting escorted out. But this fool got escorted out because he announced it on Twitter ahead of time, and he also announced that he was going to, like, look for Bugner's car and key it.
Rookie mistake.
You can't announce that shit.
Yeah, Florida Panthers Twitter is so small. Like, literally, like, everything I tweet, I'm afraid because I know people who are, like, in the organization will probably see it, you know?
Yeah.
And this guy is an idiot. I'm sorry if you're listening, but you're an idiot.
Just, like, with the way that social media is going, like, crimes are just going to be solved via, like, Instagram Live. Like, people are going to be so fucking dumb. They feel like everything has to be posted. They're like, some dude, like, didn't not Yeah, I think it was XXX Tentacion, his murderer, like, Instagram lived him shooting him up.
Yeah.
Like, bruh, we know it's you. You Instagram lived it. Now you're gonna go to prison. Like,
yeah.
You fucking idiot. It's not like, it's the closest we'll get to, like, the olden days before, like, they had any science in, like, criminal cases, where it was like, we're the Adams brothers, we shoot our name to the side of a building, steal all the money and go. Like, you know it was us. But back then they couldn't catch you. Like, it was like the lore. Now it's like, you motherfucker, you posted the murderer, your after party for the murder, where you at right now, you checked it on Facebook, like...
You left your location on, like...
Yeah, like,
we got your IP address, like, it's over.
like, I don't know what you're doing. You Snapchatted the police. Like, I don't...
Oh my god.
Dropped a pin. Like, you motherfuckers, you're so dumb. People are bad at crime now because of social media.
Yeah, and people are bad at being bad sports fans. So, round and round we go.
Alright. I feel like my roundtable is just going to be like a weekly check-in on Bryce Harper.
Oh my god.
Or for the next 13 years. So, Bryce Harper in all his interviews basically said that, like, yeah, no shit, when Mike Trout's contract is up, I'm going to try and convince him to come to Philadelphia. And it's basically something we've all known, but, like, he just says it out loud. The Angels, who Mike Trout plays for now, placed a formal complaint with the MLB that Bryce Harper is tampering. Because Bryce Harper keeps saying to anybody that'll listen, yeah, I'm going to try and get Mike Trout to come here. The Angels are soft. Like, fuck up. If you don't want Mike Trout to come to Philadelphia, where he's from, where the second best player in baseball is, offer him more fucking money and don't be the Angels. Like, stop sucking and offer him more money, and then maybe he'll want to stay with you. But, like, to call it tampering is fucking ridiculous. He's just saying that, like, yeah, I'm gonna call my friend. And Bryce Harper has done this before. When Giancarlo Stanton's contract was up, like, Bryce Harper was all over Twitter being like, dude, come to the Nationals. And Giancarlo Stanton goes, I would if my name backwards wasn't literally not Nats. Like...
Good point.
Like,
good
this isn't something new with Bryce Harper. It's not even really tampering, because nothing has happened. He's like, in 2 years, I'm gonna give him a call. Also, LeBron James is a person that exists. Kyrie Irving is a person that exists. Like, LeBron James owns an agency that represents all of the stars in the NBA, meaning his friends. And, like, he just tried to trade the entire Lakers for Anthony Davis. Like, that just happened, and you're gonna say Bryce Harper is tampering. Or, like, Kyrie Irving, like, is on video telling Kevin Durant 2 max contracts in New York. Like, they're going to the Knicks together next year. Like, and this is tampering. Like, shut the fuck up, Angels.
I'm like, define tampering. I don't think we all have the same definition of this at the moment.
They mean that, like, Bryce Harper is tampering with Mike Trout, so that Mike Trout will not sign with the Angels. Because technically the Angels can't talk about a contract yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With Mike Trout. So Bryce Harper is getting in there before the Angels can and telling him to come to Philadelphia. They think that Bryce Harper is a mouthpiece for the Philadelphia Phillies, and they're going around the rules because no teams can officially talk to him.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That's like saying, what's it called? Like, Kyle Dubas's grandma was tampering when she tweeted John Tavares to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs before he signed. Like, that's not tampering. Or like, just talking about it is not.
Or like last year at the All-Star game when Austin Matthews literally said, I told John Tavares to come to Toronto.
Yeah.
At the All-Star game. Like, that's not tampering. Like, stop! They can talk to each other. Like, that's how you get, like, good sports teams. Like,
sports teams think that, like, your player is only your player and you cannot talk to anyone at all. This other person on this other team, he's not my friend, he's my enemy, even though they maybe spent like a whole shit ton of time in juniors together or something.
Yeah.
Or like they're just friends in passing. Like, everyone in sports knows each other.
Yeah, especially because the Phillies owners have basically said, like, we are willing to do whatever it takes to win. We're gonna spend stupid money. And like the Bryce Harper $330 million contract for 13 years But like they're willing to do that for Mike Trout again, and like I just like there's no cap in baseball, so if you're willing to spend the money, fucking do it. If you're Bryce Harper, it's a no, or if you're Mike Trout, it's a no-brainer. I can go home, I can live near my family, I can play in a great sports city with the number 2 guy and I'm the number 1 guy, and we can win a shit ton for the team that I grew up watching. Like, it's the John Tavares, it's the same exact decision as John Tavares, except there's no cap. And it's all guaranteed money.
What is baseball?
I don't understand baseball.
Everything I learn about baseball, like, as an adult, freaks me out. As an NHL fan.
How about just as a female athlete? I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Imagine no cap.
Like, I played that sport. I played that sport. Do you know what I got? I got a broken hip and a primary, like, registration for classes. That's what I got. I played that sport.
Congrats.
Like, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, what the fuck? No, but then the other theory that came out is that Mike Trout told Bryce Harper, go to Philly, I'll see you there in 2 years.
Oh, man.
God, I love my team. Alright, let's talk hockey. Baseball's over. I've broken both their brains with baseball stuff.
You always do.
I always do. Let's talk hockey. Well, first up we have housekeeping things. We got a couple things to keep an eye out for. We are trying to do Friday t-shirt launches, and every Friday will be a new design. This week it was our Grice Lightning shirts that are awesome, that Brittany Grice liked on Twitter, and I believe we got one order for a t-shirt, for a ladies t-shirt, so I feel like it was her, but I'm not saying that it's her. But like,
I really hope so.
1 + 1
Feel free to
2
confirm.
in this situation, because the other likes and retweets are us. So I feel like Brittany slid in there, but you should get one too. We've got a whole bunch of stuff coming out that's in the works right now with t-shirts and t-shirt designs. And some of our old designs are still available. And along with t-shirts, we have like tote bags, stickers, phone cases, all that good stuff. It's all in Redbubble and TeePublic. We also are starting Friday questions. So you get a little hint at the show beforehand. We're going to send out a question on Twitter. This week, you'll see it later in the episode. Please answer those, because that way you guys can get on the show. We feel interaction. It's super fun. And then after the show finishes, we send out no context title votes, so you guys get to vote for the title of the show without any ideas. And while I'm editing, you guys vote on that, and I pick the winner after the edit is up, before it goes away, before I post it. And last but not least, at 500 followers, because we are very, very close on Twitter, we are going to be doing a giveaway. We don't know what the giveaway will be yet. Probably a t-shirt, a For Fuck's Sake t-shirt, maybe a little bit more. But we're very excited for that. Please follow us on Twitter. When we get to 500, we will post the details on that. Shey.
Yes.
You scammed the Florida Panthers this week.
Are you sure they didn't scam me, Gabitha?
I mean, you got to go for free and on the ice, so I feel like you broke them.
Okay, true. Okay, so, like, the Panthers just randomly at, like, 12-something p.m. sent me 2 tickets, like, in the shoot-twice zone behind the goal, for free. And I was very confused.
Was it lower bowl?
Yeah, it was lower bowl. I had really good seats. I had really good seats. But I also live 4 hours away, and the game started at 5. So it was like a mess to try to get there in the first place. And it was the day that we had a conference call between some of the people on the podcast. And I got food poisoning, and I was trying not to die during our conference while trying to get there. I missed like the whole first period, but it's fine. I also had to buy like extra tickets for like I spent like $100 and something more so I could bring my whole family. Even though tickets were like $7 in the nosebleeds that night. So they kind of scammed me with that. But afterwards, I somehow ended up on the ice in an event that I'm 100% sure I was not supposed to be a part of. So there was like
happened?
there was this big group of people who were just milling around, very close by to where I'd been sitting, and my dad was like, look at those people, like, let's go see what they're doing. They're going down towards, you know, back into the stadium. And I'm like, no, we're not a part of that. They have papers. And he's like, no, he's handing out papers. So like, I asked this lady about it, that works there, but she's like this old lady. She just said, oh, it's for the slap shot. And I'm like, I know what a slap shot is, but I have no idea what it means in this context.
Yeah.
So, like, they hand me, like, we end up getting given, like, these papers that are waivers, just, you know, so if you don't fall on the ice. So we don't even know what it is yet. We're just signing the waiver and, like, signing our lives away to the Florida Panthers. And we end up going down. We notice that they're actually going onto the ice. It's like you shoot pucks on the ice. And after we're already there, we notice there's an old man checking for wristbands that we don't have because we're not supposed to be there. But like he just starts talking to my little sister, who is flippin' adorable. So he gets distracted by her, and then my dad points out, my dad is like, he's Brazilian, he's kind of a scam artist. So he pointed out that the guy's like flashlight was on, and between like my sister and like turning off his flashlight, he didn't check us for wristbands. And we got to go out on the ice, and I was panicking the whole time. Meanwhile, my dad's like, yeah, this is great. I know nothing about hockey, but this is phenomenal. So yeah, that was how that day went.
I didn't want to, like, say anything because you were already in the car, but after you left the conference call, I, like, turned to Alex and I was like, what if those are fake tickets? Like, it was a scam email. And, like, they weren't real, but you had driven all the way to Miami.
Shows up at the door.
You were already there, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Either way, I already had, like, bought 2 tickets, so, like, at least two members of my family could have gone in. But, like, I knew it was them because, like, I tweeted about it. I was like, did anyone else get this text? And the Panthers actually messaged me. They messaged me, they DM'd me, and they were like, hey, it looks like you won our JetBlue tickets, blah, blah, blah. Come out and join us at our 2 p.m. Tailgate. And I'm like, bitch, I live in Kissimmee, Florida. I cannot get there at 2 p.m., but I will try to make it to the game.
I had another question. Shit. Oh, was it at least a good game?
No, we lost to the Ottawa Senators.
Oh,
it was Senators. That's why you got free tickets.
Yeah, I know.
Like, who the fuck wants to see Panthers?
That's a good point.
Yeah, they give these away.
They're just giving away a shit ton of stuff because it's like, it's ticket renewal season. And no one wants to renew after everything's going on. And they always give away stuff anyways because it's South Florida and no one is looking at ice hockey right now. But
aren't the Panthers the one that were like, have a helicopter ride and join the team and like play on a line with, like, be Aaron Ekblad's partner for a game? Like, weren't those things that they gave away?
Yes, that's my team. It's great. It's like great being a Panthers fan at this time of year because you get a lot of perks. But it's only if you live here. Like, if you do not live here and you're just suffering, like, it's just sufferment. Like, you just don't enjoy, like, you don't get any of the perks. You just cry because your team is the Florida Panthers.
Alright, let's go into other people that are suffering. First off, I have a question. And I've raised this before and I've been turned down before. But is Matt Duchene a team killer?
I think at this point, there's no other, like, way.
Like, it's science at this point.
Yeah.
Like, he joins the team, it dies. He joins the team, it dies. Like, once it's a accident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times, like, this is a fucking pattern. I have a theory on this. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Disney movies, but Beauty and the Beast. If you remember, the Beast is this young, handsome fella, Matt Duchene-esque, and he is rude to a witch, and the witch curses him into a beast. And he doesn't just curse the Beast, she curses everyone around the Beast. So it's like, Matt Duchene is the Beast, and the Colorado Avalanche are like Lumiere. Like, you're a candle now. And the Ottawa Senators are Cogsworth, and you're now a clock. And his latest victim is the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are now a teapot. Like, none of you are viable things anymore. Go forth in your cursed state. And the only way to break it is for his one true love. For him to fall in love with the team, and a team to love him back. And that is free agency.
Oh, man. But what if it's not free agency? What if the pattern continues?
Yeah.
He's just fucked.
Then Matt Duchene is just... Oh, no.
Then Matt Duchene joins Joffrey Lupul on Supermodel Island. Total drama island.
I think more people would feel bad for Matt Duchene if he just didn't, like...
Look like that?
Yeah.
Like, I love Matt Duchene so much, but, like, everything about him reads Chad.
Everything about him is, like, grade A dish bag. Like, I tried to say douchebag, but that didn't happen.
He's a grade A dick bag. Like, I love Matt Duchene. Like, he's country and he loves his dog and he picks up Ryan DeZingle. Like, get in, loser, we're going to Columbus. But also, like, your face, Matt, and the disdain that sticks on your face at all times. Like, every time I look at him, he could be doing anything. I just see that picture from Colorado, like from Media Day, when he was already in the process of being traded, but not really. And he's just, like, pissed.
Yeah.
And I just, like, relate that to every white boy I went to high school with. And I was like, I hate
also,
you.
he was in the middle of the Uber scandal too, right? Well, he was the one that was talking most of the time, wasn't he?
Team killer.
He was like, I haven't paid attention in like 5 weeks. I'm like, okay.
Like, bitch, why do you think your team is dying?
I'm like, Google Earth always taking pics. Like, someone's always recording. Like, be careful what you put out into the world. Talking about, I would love to play some playoff hockey. Leaves the Avs when they get into the playoffs. Goes to the Sens, doesn't get into the playoffs.
How fucking funny would it be if the Sens, like, somehow miraculously, like, make a playoff, like, race? Like, don't get into the playoffs, but, like, suddenly, like, they're not completely mathematically eliminated.
It'll be next year. Next year they'll find a way to get into the playoffs, and Matt Duchene is going to be there with the Blue Jackets, like, taking his media day photo.
We say that, but, like, with what players?
Well, they have a whole youth hockey team. It's
we
fine.
love Pierre-Luc
The
Dubois.
youth are fast.
It's okay.
Children can outwit adults. It's fine.
Just, like, between the legs, because they're, like, 4 years old.
We value speed in this league. Thank you very much. Size doesn't matter anymore.
I'm just, like, seeing, like, the Mighty Ducks versus Sendeo Chara, like, knuckle puck! Ducks fly together!
Oh my god!
Yes, V formation. Let's
Charlie
go.
Conway on the breakaway.
Oh my god! Do they have who's the veteran presence on their team? Is it just Boriecki?
Yeah, Mark Boriecki. And Brady Kachuk is now a veteran presence. He's been there the longest.
Oh, poor kid.
Somebody said Craig Anderson's name the other day, and I was like, fuck, he still exists.
Oh my god.
That poor man.
Oh, that poor man. He's an egg.
Didn't they had a backup, Condon. Whatever happened to him? Is he in the AHL still? Then who is their backup?
I think everyone's so focused on, like, the shit happening in management and the shit happening with the skaters, we forgot that Ottawa actually has goalies.
They don't have goalies. They have people that stand there and let pucks go by them. There's no actual goaltending happening in Ottawa.
There you go. Let me.
Becky's gonna be so fucking mad at us.
I love your very matter-of-fact tone about it as well. Like, there's no room for debate about this.
I mean,
Becky's
why are you booing me? I'm right.
when the Ottawa Senators get back into the playoffs next year somehow because they've have Matt Duchene gone, Becky's gonna be like the Islanders fans this year, where they're
Becky
insufferable.
is an Islanders fan, so
I know.
Yes, she is.
She has experience now. She has both. She's gonna have that like shit, like that weight is gonna go off of her, and she's just gonna like go off on all of us.
She's like, I've
We
seen
make jokes,
things.
but like, you can get rid of Matt Duchene, you can't get rid of Eugene Melnyk. Somebody's just gotta murder Eugene Melnyk.
Oh, you can't say that out loud and send it out into the world.
I'm not saying somebody should. I'm not condoning it. This is a very anti-murdering Eugene Melnyk podcast.
Thank you.
I'm
for the
just saying
disclaimer.
that it's amazing that with how diehard Canadian hockey fans are, that nobody has thought to do it. It's like, how has nobody murdered the president? How has nobody killed Eugene Melnyk?
Because
It's not. I'm not pro either of those things. I'm saying it's
I like-
miraculous that it hasn't happened yet.
I have two quick things. One,
Yeah.
I like that you said this podcast is not pro murdering Eugene Melnyk, but not pro. You didn't specify we're not pro murder in general, implying that there are people that were fine with getting
Sometimes
murdered.
people deserve to be murdered.
I have absolutely no comment.
And then the second thing, I don't even remember the second thing.
You don't think like Nazis deserve to be murdered?
Okay, that's valid.
Like,
That's-
I am pro murder when it comes to certain things. I'm not going to take murder completely off the table.
we're a hockey podcast.
Don't murder Eugene Melnyk. I'm not condoning it.
I forgot what the second thing was because
If you
that
murder
just-
Eugene Melnyk, I'll be very disappointed. Disappointed but not surprised.
Not mad, just
too,
disappointed.
they're Canadians. Like, you only murder people in hockey. You can't murder hockey people outside of the context.
Vancouver had a riot. Like, they'll murder for hockey. If there's one thing they'll murder for, it's hockey.
You know what? That's a fair point.
What were we talking about?
That's a
Beauty
good
and the Beast,
question.
Matt Duchene.
Yeah, there's a second point to this Matt Duchene curse. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. So, the other thing is, like, Matt Duchene's cursing this team, and obviously, like, it looks like the Blue Jackets are not going to make the playoffs. And my personal opinion, you guys can agree or disagree, is that the Blue Jackets missing the playoffs is bad for hockey. Because I feel like Jarmo Kekalainen made all these deals at the deadline. It was such an exciting, fun deadline at the last minute. Like, it was so boring during the day. But it got fun. And that if they don't make the playoffs, GMs are going to be less likely to make moves, and we're just going to have boring trade deadlines. Like, it's going to become like the NFL and the NBA where, like, nothing happens.
Oh, I actually hadn't thought of it that way because I'd been, when I read that on the doc, when I read the Blue Jackets missing the playoffs is bad for hockey, my immediate thought was about the fan base because we know that there's that running joke that like, oh, did you know Columbus is a hockey market? But like, it's bad for that market, you know? It's bad.
I don't care about the people of Ohio. I don't care about their hockey market.
I care
about how does this affect me.
I don't care about the people of Ohio either, except for maybe like one person in Ohio that I love very dearly and is a Blue Jackets fan. But like, I care a lot about hockey markets. I don't want to see teams moved. I'm very like that's my thing personally, you know.
And that's
as
a
a
how does it
Panthers
affect
fan.
you kind of thing. What have you done for me lately, Blue Jackets?
The Jackets missing the playoffs. The thing that I do admire about what Kekalainen did, I admire the Kekalainen family in general because they go all or nothing. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but Jari Kekalainen is a scout for the Florida Panthers. Literally, the only reason we have Alexander Barkov is because Jari Kekalainen told our GM that, hey, you have to draft this guy second overall, or I am quitting my job. I don't work for you anymore. And he was like, he valued him enough that he was like, okay, I'm going with this guy then instead of Seth Jones.
And that is big energy.
But the great thing is that they got him instead of Seth Jones, and Seth Jones is on the Blue Jackets. And it looks like maybe one Kekalainen brother is trying to emulate that big dick energy, and maybe it's not going so well.
Wait, they're brothers?
Yeah.
Are they twins?
They're not, I don't think they're twins. They're 3 Kekalainen brothers. The other one works for, I think, the Ducks, maybe?
So it's Jarmo and Jari.
Jarmo, Jari, and then the other one also starts with a J, but I don't remember his name.
I hate people.
Let me see. Jarmo Kekalainen brothers.
Alright, let's go on to the other curse that I wanted to talk about. And it has been disproven, and I'm very upset, but my question was, did John Tavares curse the New York Islanders? Because, sure, they were 2-1 at the point that I wrote this down. They had that loss to the Flyers immediately afterwards, and then they won against the Senators the first game this week, but it was a shootout, and I feel like if you have to take the Senators to a shootout, that's a loss. And then they beat the Ottawa Senators 4-2. So, like, Ottawa could be a curse breaker, and they won, I feel like, last night. So, it's broken. But I was just thinking, like, maybe it's not a losing streak. Maybe it's like, hey, if they don't make the playoffs, like John Tavares cursed them. Or they had dropped out of the first in the Metro, they're back now. But they had dropped out, so it's like maybe it was a curse. But I don't think it was. And I was really excited for the Islanders to be cursed, but it doesn't seem like that happened.
Oh, go ahead, Shey.
Oh, go ahead, you.
Oh, thank you. So I'm thinking automatically, like, curse, I'm thinking holes, Madame Zeroni. Like, what is the condition? Like, not bringing her up the mountain. Like, what is exactly what's going on here? What's going on? I feel like we need to be more specific.
That's the thing, is like,
because it's been a debacle.
I don't know what the curse is yet. It looked like there was a bit of a downswing, and I was excited for it. I was like, yes, John Tavares curse. They missed the playoffs. John Tavares is in their heads for another year. We get another year of him being booed and, like, all that animosity, because that's just fun. Because, like, if the Islanders finish, like, first in the playoffs and they make it far, and, like, unless they play the Leafs in the playoffs and something happens there, like, the John Tavares thing kind of goes away.
Yeah.
I think you're underestimating the power of, like, New York fans in general. Like, the Islanders had a player, Dennis Potvin, who, he, even when he's not in games, like, well, even when he's not visiting the like, Rangers or anything, they still do, like, the New York Rangers have this, like, whistle thing that they do. And then they go and they yell, Potvin sucks, even if he's nowhere near the team, even if it's, like, the Islanders are just there, even if it's in, like, because he's a commentator for the Florida Panthers, even when they're playing the Florida Panthers, Islanders fans show up, not Islanders fans, Rangers fans show up and do that, and that, like, animosity between Rangers, Islanders, Buffalo, like, they have that fandom there that they stick onto things, and it's part of their personality at that point, part of their identity. And I think John Tavares leaving is something that's big enough to become part of their identity.
God, I hope so. That sounds like a petty thing to want, but, like, it makes hockey more fun.
Yeah.
Like, people are mad at the Islanders stuff, and I mean, we kind of, like, bitched about the Toronto stuff, and, like, that's all in jest, but, like, hockey fandom is more fun when it's active. Like, if you're just passive and you're like, yay, golf claps, like, that's not, nobody enjoys that. Like, burn your jerseys, throw shit, like, get mad, get glad.
Maybe don't throw shit at the player, but throw
don't
shit
shit
at
the players, but you can throw shit in general.
In general, yeah. In general, go ahead, like, tape a jersey and run over it. Like, that's your prerogative. But the other thing about that curse is that, like, maybe it did the opposite, like, because the Islanders had been on a downswing until that game against Toronto. Like, they hadn't been playing super well. They were still first in the Metro because of that, like, a long stretch of wins, but if I am not mistaken, they were not doing well, and that's why they dipped. Like, they were revived by their hatred of John Tavares.
But there was the dip after. I don't know. It's kind of like a time will tell kind of thing, but it's just like, hey, keep an eye out. The New York Islanders might be cursed.
I'm gonna double check this real fast, because maybe it's just they were dipping before, and then they went back up for they showed up just to like beat John Tavares, and then went back on the downswing. But I want to double check if I'm not like mixing shit up.
Hashtag curse watch. That's a new thing. We're just gonna tweet out Islander scores. Hashtag curse watch. So here's my other thing. You talked about New York fandom. So I said the podcast a must listen, not a must watch, a must listen to the first episode of Spit Chicklets this week. Because apparently they do 2 a week now. I thought it was just once a week, but whatever. There's 2 a week.
Yeah, they do 2 a week during the season, 1 a week during the off season.
I don't pay attention to Spit Chicklets. But I did this week because one of my favorite personalities is a Islander superfan, Frankie Borelli. And he was brought on to talk about the John Tavares stuff. And they surprised him by calling in Sean Avery after that video. And it was, you got to listen to a New York superfan debate like a guy that he has hated his entire life, like kind of the worst, about this topic that both of them were very fired up about. And it was so crazy. And so we're not going to recap it because it's like 30 minutes, but everybody should go listen to it. But I have the question, if you could debate any hockey player that you like, you dislike, whatever, about any topic, what would it be?
I struggled with this for days. Ever since that, because we posed that question was posed in our group chat from like the moment we listened to that, the moment that episode dropped. Because that dynamic is so fascinating. It's so fascinating to have a diehard fan go up against a player, specifically a polarizing player, a dirtbag like Sean Avery. But like my ire in hockey fandom is always it's directed towards like management, you know? Like there are dirtbags in the leagues that I would want to like fist fight, but like I don't necessarily want to debate them. Like, I don't want to debate any of the Canes. I don't want to debate Max Domi. I just think they're dirtbags. It's not worth debating. So I struggled with that, but I would love to...
Kane, like Evander, and Patrick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they're
like,
both... They're
you
both
love the Hurricanes.
What the fuck are you talking about? What Dougie Hamilton ever
We
did
love
to
a
you?
bunch of jerks. Come on.
Oh, the Don Cherry just jumped out at me. No, but speaking of Don Cherry, like, he's someone I would want to debate. Like, someone, for something in hockey that, like, is dear to me, that I mentioned earlier, is, like, people who don't believe in non-traditional markets. Like, I would love to sit down and talk to those people like Don Cherry, that they're just anti-growing the game in places where ice isn't normally found in the winter.
Yeah. That would be cool. I think that one would end up very similar to the Frankie Sean Avery one, where it's just kind of like two walls talking to each other.
Yeah.
But I feel like that'd be cool. So I had a hard time with this as well, because like my first instinct was like I'd want to debate Ron Hextall about all of his like moves in the past like year, like why he was such a like about like his controlling nature, about the free agent signings, about Dave Haxtell obviously, and that was one. And then more than the debate, I would just like. I want the truth out of people. Like, I don't want to debate, but, like, I would love to, like, put, like, Bob Clark under truth serum and be like, what the fuck happened with Eric Lindros? Like, did he pass concussion test or did he fail? Did you mean to keep that information away from him? Like, because that's why Eric Lindros left the team, is because they didn't tell him he had a concussion. Mm-hmm. They let him keep playing. Yeah. And then, like, what was the drama that went back and forth with the dad, because there was a problem that led up to that with Eric Lindros' father, like, calling Bob Clark on, like, a daily basis about playing time. Like, I would want to know the truth behind all of that, behind that team's explosion, behind the 2010 team's explosion. Like, mine is more, like, less a debate and more, like, I just want answers. Because the Flyers are a very secretive organization, and then everything blows up at once, and there's so much information, and you don't know what's true or what's not. So, like, I'd be more interested in that than, like, actually debating somebody. The debate that I came up with was Chris Neal, and he was a dirtier player, and rather than fighting other enforcers because he was a fighter, he would always try and fight littler guys. Like, there'd be, like, team line brawls, and he would go after the little guy. And so there are, like, these unwritten rules in hockey fighting that everybody talks about, and he just kind of ignored them. And so I would love to, like, discuss that with him.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Iris?
I wish I had a real answer for you, but, like, I feel like I'm such a pacifist and also someone who loves avoiding all confrontation / interaction. That, like, I'll just listen to you all and just, like, soak in the drama at the moment. I feel like I'll have a better answer later, but, you know.
That's a mood, though, because that's what I was struggling, because I thought of the question not as, like, when you brought up, like Hextall and his moves, like, I was trying to avoid attacking, like, management. I had that imposed in my head as, like, only players and only because of, like, who they are off the ice. So I was looking into, like, people who I don't agree with their ideologies off the ice, but, like, there's no having a debate with that. That doesn't really impact the game as much as, like, the Sean Avery versus Frankie Borelli thing.
Well, see, for me with the Flyers, it's that Scott Gordon and Chuck Fletcher came in and did all of the moves that Flyers fans had been talking about, and now we're in a playoff spot. Or, like, not in a playoff spot, but, like, we're in the race. And so it was obviously like, hey, like, we obviously knew what we were talking about. We obviously were seeing the right things. Why didn't you see that? Or why were you ignoring it? Or why were you so stubborn about it? Like, that's what I would be more interested in. Like, not like, hey, like, your moves were wrong, but, like,
yeah,
why were you sticking to this plan rather than adapting?
See, that's what I, like, if it were something like that, like, I would love to debate our current Florida Panthers head coach. Because, like, Bob Boughner, we still have that Fire Bob shirt up, and it's getting more and more relevant. I see people using, like, the screenshot of it to reply to people whenever something bad happens.
They won't buy it, though.
They won't buy it, but they'll use the screenshot of it. That's what I'm thinking, too, because I figured no one's buying it. No one wants to spend money on Bob Boughner's face. But, like, the thing is that I went into the season really enjoying Bob and his moves. But the thing that gets me is that he's making weird decisions. Like, if a player's slumping, instead of coaching the player, he'll just put the player on Barkov's line and just hope Barkov can sort him out. So, like, you're weighing Barkov down and then you're making him do your job. Like,
yeah.
See, it's stuff like that I would love to debate, too.
All right. Guys.
Yes.
It's March 9th.
Yes, it is.
And the Tampa Bay Lightning have a playoff spot. Like, they clinched it.
Yes, they have.
Is it clinching if it's March 9th?
It doesn't feel real. It doesn't.
Like, it's securing. Like, I feel like clinching is like what the Flyers do in the shootout in Game 82.
Right.
Like...
Avalanche Game 82.
Like, this isn't clinching. This is securing. Like, they don't have to play until April.
They have 5 weeks of downtime. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that gets me, because it's like sure, it's like 14 games, but like that's 5 whole weeks. 5 whole weeks of hockey that you do not technically have to show up to.
There's only 14 more games left in our seasons.
Yeah, that's very upsetting. I don't want to think about it. That's why I kept saying 5 weeks, and it makes it feel better, you know?
Yeah.
A little bit.
But, like, it's not... Like, I enjoy what Tampa's doing. I love that they're thriving so much. But it's a very bizarre sensation as a fan, you know?
Yeah. It must be so nice to, like, be, like, a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, or, like, a Boston Bruins fan. Or, like, you just know you're gonna be there. Like, it's, like, probably like being a Patriots fan, where it's, like, the season doesn't start until the AFC Championship. Like, the season doesn't start until April for them. God. Like, the rest is all just, like, oh, we're here. It must be so relaxing and not give them heart palpitations and acid reflux at night.
Tampa has. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, but like you put the Bruins in there as an example, and I'm like, but you've seen Bruins fans on social media of any sort. They are still suffering, even though it personally not as warranted.
No, what the fuck do Bruins fans have to complain about? You haven't lost a game since January. Shut the fuck up. Like, or in regulation since January. You have, like, Tuukka Rask is good. Halak is better. You've got the best line in hockey. Brad Marchand has an Instagram now. Shut the fuck up, Bruins fans.
Oh, thriving Brad
More
Marchand.
so than usual. Shut the fuck up, Bruins fans.
And the Twitter chirping is like phenomenal. Like Brad Marchand was always funny online, but like he's upped his game. So Bruins fan have like angry culture. Like they're like the Flyers in that sense where it doesn't matter what's going on the ice, you're still always gonna be mad.
Ours is warranted.
Not biased at all.
We were happy. Carter Hart came up and we were happy, and then he got hurt and we were pissed again.
It's like I'll give you that.
We have like happiness in us. It's just not like we don't get opportunities very often. Boston Bruins fans, like, just stop complaining. Jesus fuck.
It's funny because you're wearing a shirt that has like Boston colors on it, Bruins colors on it. At least in the camera, it looks like.
Oh, it's navy and yellow. It's a part of my take sweatshirt. It's football guy's guy. Which gonna plug Pardon My Take right now. Not even the podcast. They release a song every year right before summer. This one is called Chonk. It's Chonk. It's amazing. I highly suggest Googling that and listening to it. It's fucking hilarious. Chonk is Chonk. Okay. No, so I did like a little bit of Googling, and so it's not the fastest ever. The fastest ever was February 2nd in 1977 by the Montreal Canadiens. But that was back when like divisions were like 4 teams, and like their teams were like the Buffalo Sabres and the 70s Penguins. Like there was no competition for that top spot.
There was
like,
also
they won a bunch of games, so it was fine.
Yeah, and they also had like less games left in the season. So I think when I was Googling, I saw the like game wise, the earliest clinch was like New York Islanders with 25 games before the season in like 78, 79. Mm-hmm. But that's still not like it's not the salary cap era, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of freakishly good teams, and I mean that because we're about to talk about A. Gretzky, not the Gretzky, A. Gretzky. That was a really bad transition. I like forced it. I apologize. Anyway, the list for the Oilers GM's finalists are out, and it's the most Oilers thing ever. Do you guys want these names?
Hit us.
Go ahead.
All right, so there are roughly 10 candidates, but Dreger released the names of a few. Consultant to the GM of the Anaheim Ducks, Dave Nonis. Los Angeles Kings assistant GM, Mike Futa. Montreal Canadiens scout, Sean Burke. Former Toronto Maple Leafs assistant GM, Mark Hunter. You know, the guy that got fired. And then Keith Gretzky.
Of course, Keith Gretzky.
Of course, that is bottom of the barrel team, bottom of the barrel team. A team that relies solely on a goalie to not be bottom of the barrel. A guy that got fired when the team was bottom of the barrel, and Keith Gretzky. That's the most Oilers thing, and like it's like 10 guys that are allergic to computers. Like they count on their fingers.
It's because the nepotism is strong.
It is strong.
In Oilers land, in hockey in general, but like especially in the Oilers organization.
So here's my question. Is this I don't know if any of you guys ever watched 30 Rock, but in season 5 they're trying to find a new cast member, and Tina Fey's character explains like her system for getting her higher ups to like a person that she picks. So like she sends in like 2 bad people, the one she likes, and then another bad person, so that like they're kind of forced. So it's like the one is to set the bar low, the second one is to show just how bad the first one is, the third one is the one you like, and the fourth one is to get a greater appreciation for the third one. Mm-hmm. And so like is this that kind of list where it's like Dave Nonis, terrible at his job, Mike Futa, terrible at his job, Keith Gretzky, Mike Hunter got fired, like Mark Hunter, whatever, and like Lou Lamoriello wouldn't rehire him. Yeah. Like I just, like, I can't figure out if it's one of those situations or if, like, this is your actual list of people that you want. The Ducks, the Kings, fired Keith Gretzky.
It's like, because you know they're going to go with Keith Gretzky no matter what. Like, no matter what the names were going to be, because of just their history, that management, that ownership's history, is that you go with inside your own organization and you go with people that aren't necessarily like you it's not even necessarily a trusted hockey man, you know? It's just someone that's more or less important to the organization from within. And he's important to the organization because of his brother. Like,
yeah. How do you not, like, wait, like, if Keith is your leading guy, if he's your interim, how do you not at least wait until everybody else gets fired after the playoffs to see who else is out there? Like, that's a problem I had with the Flyers naming Chuck Fletcher so soon. It's like, you don't know who else is going to be available come the end of the playoffs. Like, Jarmo Kekalainen, if the Blue Jackets don't make it, is going to be available. He's not a bad GM.
yeah.
Like, he was given a shit situation by being in Ohio. Like, Edmonton's not much better. Except you have Connor McDavid. Forever. I'm trying to think. But, like, you don't know who else is going to be available. And so I feel like that was a weird situation. Like, Stan Bowman will probably be fired. Like, Stan Bowman is destroyed a cap, but, like, he also won 3 cups.
Oh, well, isn't that the most, like, hockey way of looking at it? Like, oh, yeah, this GM did some shit that fucked over his team in the future, but look at what he did in the meanwhile. Okay, look at all these cups.
Well, here's the thing. He had 6 years. What was it? 6 years, 3 cups? 5 years, 3 cups? You put that in at McDavid's prime, you get a couple core pieces, because what did he do? He did it with 4 pieces. He did it with Taves, Kane, Keith, and Crawford. So you find your 4 pieces right at McDavid's prime, you get 3 cups out of it, and fuck it in the future. Yeah, we've already learned that the NHL will rink stuff for the Edmonton Oilers.
But not all of the moves that, like, got them those 3 cups were because of Stan Bowman.
What do you mean? Well, the basic thing that he put in place was, here's our core, and we'll rotate the rest of the pieces in and out as need be.
All right. See, I just don't like Stan Bowman.
I mean, that's totally valid. But I was just thinking, like, who is probably going to be available come this summer? It's a very weird thing to, like, narrow it down to these guys who are not great.
Yeah.
Like, if Keith Gretzky's your guy, let him ride out the rest of the year, decide in the summer when you see all of the options. But, like, to put him against, like, Mark Hunter and Dave Nonis is just, like, a really weird thing to do, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, is it Dave Nonis that he always puts his name out there? Even though he was terrible at his job when he was GM.
Was he a Leafs GM?
I don't remember what GM he was. I'm pretty sure he was a GM.
I know that name. Dave Nonis. Wikipedia. Executive career. Vancouver Canucks. Traded Luongo to the Florida Panthers.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave Nonis. He should be the GM of the Edmonton Oilers. Give me Connor McDavid.
Anaheim Ducks, Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, he was GM of the Maple Leafs for the tank before Lou Lamoriello. Listen to me listening to Steve. I pay attention, Steve. Alright. Gabe Landeskog's hurt.
Yeah, he is. Can you guess who put that on the dock?
How are you feeling, Iris?
Not very optimistic, I'll be honest. Yeah, I mean, everyone says that the Avs recently have been pretty much, like, all top line and, like, not much else. Like, it's not very sustainable. I'm like, you're pretty much right. I mean, we have, like, Carl Soderberg for depth, and that's nice, but I wish there was something else. And so I'm like, if Gabe is hurt for, like, 4 to 6 weeks and we have, like, 5 weeks left of the regular season and they switch up the lines, which ended up being notoriously bad earlier this season. Like, I maybe should just like write a eulogy now, maybe. And just, hop on the Yotes wagon.
So that's who you think is going to get the wildcard spot out there?
I'll go for it for now.
All right, let's look at these teams. So, like, Winnipeg, Nashville, Calgary, San Jose have ridiculous amounts of points. They're fine. Then you've got the Blues at 78, are in third place in the Central. The Knights are at 79 for third place in the Pacific. And they just got Mark Stone, so they're getting better. Then Dallas is at 75, Minnesota at 74, Yotes at 71, Avalanche at 70, and then you've got, like, Edmonton at 67, but that's not going to happen.
I think if anyone drops off, it's going to be Minnesota. Like, their wins are very strange, and their losses are even worse.
Minnesota's just, like, it's always there. Like, they're going to be there. They're going to lose in the first round. I'd be more concerned about Dallas because Jim Montgomery's doing Jim Montgomery shit again.
Oh, yeah.
Where he sits the single father for being 10 minutes late to a morning skate. Like, shut the fuck up, Jim. He's an adult with a mortgage. Like, he's not an 18-year-old college kid who overslept being hungover. Like, he's an adult. He makes more than you. Shut the fuck up.
I feel bad because I used to love Monty when he was in college, but he's not been good in the NHL. His moves do not work with adults. And, like, I wrote a piece on it.
You did write a piece about it.
I did. And college coaching is so different from professional coaching. And, like, a college coach has so much control. And it's weird when you get to the professional league, you have to give that up, and the players make more and they have more power than you, and you're really just there to tell them when to go on and when to go off and to implement systems, and you're not the end-all be-all anymore. And I think, like, when Tyler Seguin got sat up in Boston, that made sense, because that was basically Tyler Seguin's college playing days, when you really think about it. There was 4 years up in Boston. He was a young kid. They had to teach him how to be an adult. They had to teach him basically right from wrong, and that's what they did there. And he deserved it when he was late that day, because he was oversleeping for being hungover. Mm-hmm. Like, now in Dallas, like, Alexander Radulov is an adult. He's been playing professionally for, like, 10 years. You can't fucking sit him because he was late to morning skate. That's fucking ridiculous. Especially when you're it's one of your top three guys in a tight playoff race. You're sitting in a wild card spot. Like, don't be fucking dumb, Monty. Does Jim Montgomery coach the Dallas Stars next year?
Probably not.
I don't know. I think he does. I think that management is more loyal to him than they are their Stars right now.
I was going to say the same thing. I think the management would probably most likely move players before they fire a coach. At the moment. I don't know. That might change.
It's so fucking ridiculous.
It's because I'm viewing it in the, like, in how fuck. I know English. I can speak English.
I thought you were speaking Portuguese for a second, and I was like, weird choice, but okay. Nope, you just can't talk.
We're global. We're a global podcast.
We are global.
But in it, like, the way that 2018-19 specifically is going is that your first move now, if your team is not good, if your team is not performing to the way that they should be performing, which isn't necessarily Dallas's case, because Dallas has always had problems. Like, their problem is, like, part of it is their roster, because they're also a one-line team. But the first move has always been like, oh, move your coach. I don't know if it's going to be, like, if they'd keep Monty just because of the, they want to promote stability, because that's a thing that they haven't had, that hasn't happened in that position in the Dallas Stars organization for a while.
Yeah, I was about to say, the Dallas Stars coaching position is like being the defense against the dark arts professor at Hogwarts. Like, it's 1 year and you're
I'm going to make a like, holding hands meme where it's like, Dallas Stars, Florida Panthers, and which is the other one that has, like, they're always losing their coach? There's one more team. I'm not making this up. I'll look into it later and I'll make the meme.
I don't know.
But
Flyers will either fire you 3 days into the season or never. We'll fire good coaches 3 games into the season, and then hold on to bad coaches for 3.5 years. Now I'm not bitter.
You're not bitter at all.
That's Florida Panthers Flyers hand-holding me right there. We
fired Peter Laviolette 3 games into the season.
Yeah.
3 games. Pissed. Alright. The NWHL and CWHL playoffs.
Alright, let me get into it. This is my wheelhouse. Alright, so the playoffs are happening right now. The semifinals in specific are happening right now in both leagues, and the games are streaming free online. I made a post about it yesterday, and I got a few responses from people being like, oh, I didn't know you could watch women's hockey online for free. And yeah, you can watch women's hockey online for free throughout the whole season.
All the time.
So you can find links on Twitter at NWHL for NWHL games and at CWHL for CWHL games. So the NWHL, the Boston Pride are taking on the Buffalo Beauts today, Saturday, March 9th at 7:30 p.m. ET. And then the Metropolitan Riveters, which are the defending champs, are taking on the Minnesota Whitecaps Sunday afternoon, March 10th at 1 p.m. Central Time and 2:30 p.m., which is 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The interesting thing is that the Rivs are the defending champs, but the Whitecaps swept them throughout the regular season. And then in the CWHL, which is what I've been watching lately because I haven't been able to catch any NWHL playoff games, the Les Canadiens, I don't know French, are taking on the Markham Thunder. It's
wrong anyway, so you're fine.
Taking on the Markham Thunder at 6 p.m. ET, and the Toronto Furies are taking on the Calgary Inferno at 6:45 p.m. Mountain Time, which is I think 8:45 ET.
Yeah.
Which they're both to get today, Saturday, March 9th, and both games are the second game in the best of 3 series is what I can English still.
Best 2 out of 3, right?
Well, it's not best. Yeah, it's best 2 out of 3. It's just best of 3. So the games could potentially end today. So I was watching the Toronto Furies versus the Calgary Inferno, and the Inferno were the top seed, and everyone thought they were gonna go in hot and win. But then the Toronto Furies came in, and Natalie Spooner destroyed them. So if they take it tonight, they go on to the finals. And it's really good hockey. It is really good hockey. So check that out.
All right. Let's get into segments. First up, Mad Online. The Canadian women's Olympic backup goalie was kicked off her intramural team in college for being too good. What the fuck? Like, that is the most man thing I've ever fucking heard. Because it was co-ed intramurals.
Co-ed, right? Okay.
Co-ed intramurals is sorry.
Yeah. Like, that's important to the context of this, I think.
The men were mad that she was beating them, and so they called the college and was like, she's an Olympian. And the college was like, okay, forgetting that Olympian means amateur.
Yeah. And the worst thing is that, like, in that, it, like, you can have, I forgot English. What's the thing where it's, like, the top level of college hockey? Can you remind me?
Division 1?
Yes, there we go, Division 1. I could not come up with that word. I'm so sorry. I've been speaking Portuguese for, like, the whole week. This is the first time I'm speaking English. All week. So the Division 1 men's, they're allowed to play in the intramural league, and they just kicked her off, like, straight off, because after she beat them in that one game, and she didn't let in, like, she's a goalie, so she only let in like 3 goals in 4 games or something like that, and that's why they were pissed. That's
so fucking dumb, because, like, That's so fucking dumb. And then they'll be like, women aren't real athletes. They're not good. Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up.
Like, I don't get it. Like, the only real solution to this is play better. Like, you can only control yourself. I don't get it.
I explained this to my dad, who was an athlete growing up and who was training to be like a professional coach in Brazil. And he said that like it infuriated him because his philosophy is wholeheartedly is just you play against the best to become better. So like why wouldn't you want to play against a silver medalist? Like that is such a cool story too. Like, oh, I faced off against a silver medal Olympian in college. Like that's something you say along the road. Now what are you going to tell your kids? I got a silver medalist kicked off an intramural team because I wanted a t-shirt.
I was mad about losing to a girl. Like, shut up. All right. On a similar note, there was a giant bicycle race. I almost called it bike link. Bicycle race. I don't know where it was. I feel like it was France.
Belgium. It was in Belgium, yeah.
Basically France. And the men got a 10-minute head start, which somebody did the math and it came out to like 5 miles they could have gotten, and before the women started, and the entire women's race had to be stopped because they caught up to the men. Like the fast women caught up to the slow men, and the entire women's race had to be stopped.
And the woman that was leading by like almost 2 minutes. And she was so fast that like they stopped her first, and after that like she was so taken off her groove that she ended up as like 75th or something like that instead of first place where she was like clear front runner in the pack when the race had started.
That's so fucking ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Like with my like track athlete mentality, like I'm like, so do them at a completely separate time. Like don't start the women's race until the men's race is done if you're so like caught up on that possibility. Like there are fast people and there are slow people. So I don't
they have different numbers. Like
right?
I don't understand how you couldn't keep track of them. Like if you're worried about the racing center exacting, like they have different numbers. Just keep track
exactly.
Of the numbers. It's computerized.
Right, exactly. It's computerized. I'm like, it's a race. All that matters is the time that you finish and being on the right part of the course. So like, if someone's timing you and you have your number on, like, there's no reason to stop. I don't think.
No. It's just for the male ego.
This is a very women's rights podcast.
It's Women's History Month.
That's like.
Let us be mad.
That online, it should just be like men are dumb.
Officially renaming the segment because
men are dumb. All right, we have a new segment. I was like, should we get a new segment noise? But I don't feel like doing that work. New segment. This is the For Puck's Sake Book Club, but not books because we don't feel like putting in that much work. I have an article here from the Winnipeg Free Press, Above the Fold. Reconciliation finds true home at True North. How the Winnipeg Jets have quietly built relationships with Indigenous communities. So I'll just start reading, and if you guys have points, you can just stop me. Mm-hmm. In the early hours of July 5th, 2016, 26-year-old Cyril Wiesnuck of Oxford House First Station, if I butcher any of these Indigenous names, I am so sorry, was killed after encountering 2 men at the corner of Portage Avenue and Donald Street. At the place where he died, footsteps from the Bell MTS place, members of West Wiennock's community held a vigil, covering the sidewalk with candles, photographs, and gifts. The next morning, downtown life continued, and thousands began to walk by and disturb the site. A group of Indigenous employees from the Bell MTS place, many originally from communities like Oxford House, decided to do something by using their work breaks to protect the space. They also asked their employer, True North Sports and Entertainment, the owner of the Winnipeg Jets, if they could do this during work hours. True North agreed. An around-the-clock team oversaw the site. Days later, that same group held a ceremony for the materials, eventually delivering them to Grand Chief Sheila North Wilson, a Manitoba Kiwatanawi Okimoknak, who is Weenuck's cousin. There was no media, no press release, no photographs. I only knew about this because I was asked to help. It was the right thing to do, True North Chairman Mark Chipman explained when I reminded him about it. We were just fortunate we could help honor this young man. This is a story of how the Winnipeg Jets have quietly built relationships with Indigenous communities. From hockey to hiring to headdresses, the Winnipeg Jets have become a model for reconciliation in Manitoba. I wouldn't call us leaders in reconciliation, Chipman told me in an interview. We have just been in some situations where we have looked to people to help us understand what it means to be a responsible community member, and lucky we have Indigenous employees and leaders to help us. Chipman, notoriously private, proudly tells me he's learned a lot while attending events like the recent traditional opening of the True North Square, attended by an honor song and ceremony. The ceremony was co-organized by Kevin Chief, a former MLA. Kevin has been instrumental in helping introduce us to the Indigenous community, Chipman said. We've learned a lot from him and others. Chief was instrumental in helping coordinate the Winnipeg Jets Wassac Night. On February 16th and 17th, True North hosted 2 games, one with Winnipeg Jets and the other with the Manitoba Moose, to honor the Winnipeg Aboriginal Sports Achievement Center, or WASAC. Celebrating 20 years and founded in 1999, WASAC connects Indigenous youth to sports and provides mentorship and leadership programs focused on career development. Chief, a co-founder of WASAC, lobbied True North and eventually helped plan the event. The Jets game featured a traditional drum opening by Spirit Sand singers, Indigenous musician Don Amaro singing the national anthem, a ceremonial face-off by Indigenous elders, and 30 Indigenous youth from northern communities like Lac Rochette, Oxford House, Ponegasi, and Shamattawa. Indigenous NHL alumni like Reggie Leach, Jamie Leach, and Daryl Stanley also met and skated with the youth. Special Indigenous-themed logos and clothes for the Jets and Moose created by WASAC alumni Letica Spence were sold at the event, with proceeds going to WASAC. The next night at the Moose game, over 500 Indigenous youth took part in similar festivities. Chief has also helped True North navigate history. He introduced the then Grand Chief of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, Derek Nepinak, to Chipman when Indigenous fans of the Jets brought the issue of headdresses to True North's attention. Fans argued that wearing a headdress at the games not only perpetuates harmful stereotypes, but disrespects a sacred item that should be traditionally earned and not worn around alcohol. True North agreed to ban headdresses at all events, becoming the first in the NHL and one of the only professional teams in North America to do this. Soon after, True North also made the decision to make acknowledgement of the Treaty 1 territory and lead fans to the commitment to a spirit of reconciliation before every event. I wrote this for them after Chief introduced me to Chipman. True North's work is having an impact. During last season's playoff run, hockey broadcaster Ron McLean opened up a Jets broadcast by welcoming viewers to Treaty 1 territory, even explaining to viewers what Winnipeg means in Cree. I love working here, said Rachel Esquash from Swan Lake First Nation. Everyone has a lot of respect. Esquash has worked in housekeeping for True North since 1996, the old arena in Polo Park. Now, 7 of her family members, including all of her children, work in various capacities, from cleaning to security to game time operations. My family has become the Winnipeg Jets, Esquash said. One day she is cleaning rooms and the next helping singer Elton John or WWE star Roman Reigns. She tries to give back what her work has given her, even making bannock for the lunchroom. She's a leader of our staff, Chipman says, someone I take advice from. Security guard Tyler Robinson from Roseau River First Nation is a former WASAC alumni who comes to True North through UCEO, Creative Employment Opportunities Program, a mentorship initiative that gives Indigenous youth opportunities to work with Winnipeg companies. After working with True North, Robinson was hired full-time and plans to be a police officer one day. I can't imagine a better place where I get to meet people, work with community, and build my career. Many True North employees are offered training in community and customer relations as well. True North has around 260 full-time and 1,250 part-time employees. They don't keep track of Indigenous employees, but Esquart says there are many from all over. Murray Cobb gets off the ice at 9 p.m. after coaching his Pee Wee Girls 8-2 squad. The girls have come a long way. We used to get shellacked 14-0. Now we are winning playoff games. Cobb coaches in the Winnipeg Jets Hockey Academy program, a school and community-based hockey initiative that focuses on underprivileged youth who don't get opportunities to play. The majority of the program participants are Indigenous. 9 out of 15 players in Cobb's team are Indigenous. They are part of nearly 600 players who work with 250 volunteers in schools throughout Winnipeg's inner city, Transcona, and St. James community. The programs are focused on building school attendance, academics, and career planning while also providing community experiences and hockey equipment and training along the way. The proof of the success of the program is increased grades, graduation rates, and involvement of parents, family, and community. They may even be breaking down barriers between Indigenous communities and school, too. True North has other programs that directly engage First Nations and Metis communities, like Camp Manitou, that gives youth summer experiences in sports and skill project on building on Project 11, which addresses stigma and positivity around mental health and youth suicide in the North. Much of this was paid for by fundraising and donations from True North employees. Last year, 95% of True North employees donated parts of their paycheck to one of the 3 programs. During last year's playoff run, Indigenous Jets fans were everywhere. Social media feeds showed literally hundreds of photos of medallions and moccasins with Jets colors and beadwork. Indigenous and non-Indigenous fans high-fiving each other at parties downtown. Indigenous fans proudly wearing white jerseys and a logo with the maple leaf. This wasn't an approval of Canada, but evidence that hockey transcends division. Indigenous people have found meaning in the Winnipeg Jets. I asked Chipman whether hockey can overcome differences. I'm not sure, he responds, but if you are trying to build an organization that unites a community, you had better invite and include everyone in that community.
I thought that was really, like, usually when you see pieces like this, it's at the behest of the team, it's like promotion, but this felt really genuine, you know?
Yeah.
The way that he talked about how he was learning from the community, that they were trying to build the community and like working with them and listening to them and not just talking over them and using them as promotional. Because they've been doing this for so long, so quietly, and it's not something that you see broadcasted on like Hockey Night in Canada all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's the little things, like them telling Ron McLean if it's a game in Winnipeg, you have to introduce it as like one territory, like as Indigenous territory. Like I think that's really cool, and especially because I think part of it comes from the Winnipeg being a new team, and they have the opportunity to create new traditions and create them as part of this team, that it allows them to do things like that. And yeah, it's quiet, but like it's a new culture that they're breeding, and so like why not welcome in a new era of hockey where you have those kind of relationships around.
I also really appreciate them being the first team to like officially ban headdresses at games, even though like their logo has nothing to do with that. And I'm like, it's really that easy at certain teams that actually
directly at the Chicago
Blackhawks.
Fine.
Yeah, we'll just say Blackhawks. And like it's that easy. Like it's that easy. Like also just like it's very. I think it's also worth noting that the author himself is also like First Nations, is like from an Indigenous community, and so like putting that into perspective. And also even though I'm like all the way in Switzerland, I'm interning at an NGO for Indigenous rights, and so I'm doing my like research paper for the semester, like all about like Indigenous rights and decolonizing, you know, education in Canada, of all places. So I'm like, oh wow, just like another thing, a little tidbit to just like make me feel like I'm doing something productive.
This is a side note. You're the second person I've talked to that's like doing a research on that topic for college.
Oh my gosh, wow. Join the club, I guess. I'm in the club with someone, whoever that may be. Hello.
Shout out to Lila, huge Canes fan.
Ah, nice. So yeah, just like very timely. Great first choice.
Alright, so we'll try and do more of these. I can't guarantee every week, but we're going to have book club but not books.
Story of the week, maybe.
Maybe. Alright, last segment, more fun. A Game of Ice and Fire. Because both A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones are copyrighted. A Game of Ice and Fire. So, the new Game of Thrones trailer dropped. We are very excited. With that came a tweet from @YoungPageViews where he said, I can't look at Elias Pettersson without seeing Brienne of Tarth. And it's not something that you can ever not think about now. So with that, I was like, dude, I posed the question: if the NHL was dropped in Westeros, who would sit on the Iron Throne? We asked that to you guys. That was our question of the week. But more than that, we cast Game of Thrones, and we all did it kind of differently. So like, I'm a giant fan of the show, so I went with like the relationships along with the personalities and stuff. I don't know how much you guys watch Game of Thrones.
I have. Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
You know it all, Shey.
No, I was just gonna say I'm a huge fan. My mom is an even bigger fan than me, and I tried to pose the question with her to see if she had like some not so much because she doesn't know hockey, but like if she could spot someone that just physically looks like it, so I could have that aspect as well. Mm-hmm. But she did not want to sit down with me and look over hockey players. She just wanted to watch Game of Thrones.
And then there's me, who has never seen anything at all that has to do with Game of Thrones. Never watched it, never read the books. Like, I know some of the actors, but like, I'm really winging it here. I've chosen to not watch it until it's over.
You're so valid.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's an interesting point. So, I put up a list of 11 characters. We're just going to go through each one, and then at the end we'll be like, alright, who ends up in the Iron Throne? So first off, the Night King. I thought, okay, I'm going to explain my reasoning before I do the name. So I thought about like, what the Night King encompasses, and it's kind of like, he's like this assassin from beyond the wall, just like full of like snow and ice and power. And so my first thought was Patrick Laine.
Oh,
I'm with it.
Sniper, the true North, like rallies this army. My Night King is Patrick Laine.
See, I had a different perspective on it. I said Lou Lamoriello because he's been around forever, so old and powerful. Many people think he's a myth. Also kind of evil and kind of shady, but he does his job.
Valid.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I literally just like, you know how, like, I just like took a look and was just like, I don't know why I'm thinking of Garrett Sparks right now, just like face shape wise, but like I am and I can't unsee it. So like, I don't think personality fits with it in any way, shape, or form. But it's Garrett. But you know, Night King is Garrett Sparks, and that's that on that.
I love that. But like, imagine Garrett Sparks with like you find out Garrett Sparks has the personality of the Night King. That's hilarious.
I'm speaking it into existence.
Garrett Sparks has a personality. All right. Next up is Lord Baelish or Littlefinger. Little trickster, kind of a dirty guy. Always has his finger in everything. Brad Marchand.
That's really valid. That's a valid perspective. I said Doug Wilson, Sharks GM. See, the Mike Hoffman.
You're just thinking of the Mike Hoffman, yeah?
I'm thinking Mike Hoffman and Eric Carlson, and I remember listening to an episode of, it was either Hockey Central at noon or 31 Thoughts where they were talking about him. Apparently he's a really slick talker. Like, apparently GMs do not want to answer the phone when he calls because he sells his guys really well, and people walk away with deals that are not what they went in wanting. And that's a very, like, Littlefinger move, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, okay. I feel like, oh god, I feel so, you know, this is what happens when you literally just, like, guess. I put Chris Kreider.
I don't hate that.
Oh yeah? Tell me why.
I don't hate that for very similar reasons as Brad Marchand.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
he's just a guy
alright.
that's kind of always around. He's a troublemaker. Maybe not on the scale of Brad Marchand,
Yeah.
but it's not totally off.
Not totally. Okay.
starter.
Alright.
Alright, next up is the Mountain, who will just annihilate anybody in his path, doesn't give a fuck. This one was hard. This one, for me, it was between Ryan Reeves or Dustin Buckland. But the Mountain has more of a reputation of just being, like, a quiet guy. Like, so, we didn't talk about the Hound. But I feel like Ryan Reeves would be the Hound, and Dustin Buckland's the Mountain.
Stop, I chose Dustin Buffalo. I feel so valid, thank you.
With that description of him, like, it makes me want to think of Zindane Chara, but he does not fit that aspect because the Mountain is, like, cruel. And I don't think, like, I put Cody McLeod, and I don't think McLeod, and, like, I don't think he's necessarily, like, a cruel person, but it's mostly because he's always consistently, like, he's an enforcer, so he's one of the last, like, genuine enforcers, and he's tied for most fights right now, And he's like at the top of the list despite only playing like a fraction of games per season, and you kind of forget that he exists unless he's batting for your team or fucking someone on your team up.
That's a good description. Alright. Khal Drogo was next. So Khal Drogo, he's another warrior who, heart of gold, does everything for a reason of justice, doesn't lose. You can't fight Wayne Simmons. It's gotta be Wayne Simmons. Just, Wayne Simmons doesn't lose, heart of gold, warrior. I'm crying thinking about it. Wayne Simmons was Khal Drogo.
I put Jamie Benn. Because he's big. Look, first of all, he's big. Let's start that off. He's big. Kind of dumb. Lovable. And anyone that has to face him probably hates him. Also, like, all of the deaths on Game of Thrones, like, his was, like, the most, like, oh, I can't believe that happened, because it was, like, it was a small thing that took him down. And that, for some reason, that just screams Jamie Benn to me. Like,
but, like, I'm just, like, thinking, like, Jamie Benn's big old cow eyes, just, like...
Oh, yeah!
Versus Jason Momoa's, like, fierce-ass smolder. I'm like, yes, so intimidating. Exactly the same.
Who did you put, Iris?
Sure, it doesn't go along the never lose part, but, like, once you have a Stanley Cup, you don't have to care anymore. I put Alex Ovechkin.
I like that. I like that choice.
I don't hate that. Alright. Next is Jamie Lannister. So my Jamie and my Cersei are linked, so I'm gonna go last for this.
Oh,
so,
mine are linked too.
Yeah.
Mine are like super linked.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so if like,
so do you want to explain who Jamie Lannister is? For Iris and anybody who doesn't watch Game of Thrones?
No. I don't.
Okay. So Jamie Lannister is he's the greatest knight in the land of Westeros. So like Khal Drogo is a warrior, but he's like from a tribe, and the Night King is from a different tribe. Jamie Lannister is like the greatest fighter in the civilization, and so his sister is the queen, and so he's like the hand of the king, and he's a seedy guy, but you can kind of tell that there's like something good inside of him. But he doesn't let it show because he's just been surrounded by all these evil people his whole life, so he doesn't like know how to let that good out. That's Jamie Lannister. Also very handsome.
You forgot the part where Jamie Lannister and Cersei Lannister are twins, and they were fucking.
Yeah,
they were hardcore fucking.
That's what I read.
They birthed some children.
Yes, they did. So who do you have, Shey?
I don't think this is a perfect casting. I'll start that off. I put Tom Wilson.
Stop.
As Jamie?
Yeah, because he's done some bad things. He's kind of a piece of shit. Really cocky, good looking, usually thriving at what he does. But like Wilson, allegedly, according to Cavs fans, I'm listening to Cavs fans on this one, allegedly has a heart of gold. So I'm going to listen to them and put that, even though my personal views on Tom Wilson are that he's a piece of shit. But you could also look at the suspension as a metaphor for getting his hand cut off. So that was my reasoning behind that. Iris.
Listen, I picked Tom Wilson for the exact same reasons. Hence why mine is linked. And I picked, okay, so Jamie Lannister is Tom Wilson and Cersei is TJ Oshie.
Oh.
And I think it's perfect. And
okay. So I did mine based off of a later one. So like I worked backwards from that later one, and I had to find something that was kind of related to that later one that could also work for this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went with twins fucking, and I did the Sedines.
oh, no! Please!
No, Gabby!
No!
I like how you said I went with twins fucking, but then in your description you didn't even mention
You
they
didn't
were
mention
fucking.
that at all. Okay, we see you.
Yeah, so I went with the Sedines, but my later explanation, you'll be like, oh, that was so good, because I looked at relationships as well. Like, it's a whole thing.
My Cersei Lannister is Gary Bettman.
Oh.
Because Gary Bettman fucked Tom Wilson. And also routinely ruins everyone's lives in very sneaky and conniving ways.
That's good.
Oh, man. I was more thinking, like, the Capitals love each other and constantly are all up on each other, and Tom Wilson and TJOC smack each other's asses constantly. So, I was like, that's close enough.
That's a very, like, literal way to put it. That works.
Thank you.
Alright. Joffrey Baratheon is Jaime and Cersei's first son. He's the boy king after his father dies. And you think he's the worst, but then, like, other villains come along after Joffrey's dead who, like, prove to be worse than him. And so, my first instinct for Joffrey was Patrick Kane, but then I thought, no, Patrick Kane is Ramsay Bolton. Just, like,
yeah.
Absolute fucking worst.
Yeah.
So who is somebody that sucks, but is not evil? Connor McDavid, the Boy King.
What? Explain yourself.
Boy King,
Uh-huh.
fucking hate him. Not the worst. Will run his kingdom to the ground. Bad leader. Connor McDavid.
Okay, I see that and I hate it. I hate it so much. I don't want to insult Connor McDavid like that. But, like,
I will insult Connor McDavid all I fucking want.
I can see the connection. I put Max Domi. He's Montreal's new boy king.
Yes.
Doesn't deserve to be king. And is a fucking piece of shit.
Yep.
Purely looks, William Nylander. The end. Oh, sorry, we're not allowed to say his name anymore. Sorry, my bad.
I'm crying. Oh my god.
Alright. My Arya and my Sansa are linked as well, so I'll go last on this one too.
Alright. This is also not perfect casting, but I have Matt Duchene as Arya Stark. Because he's got an attitude. He's also fully cursed. And you could also force the concept that him trying so hard to make it to a playoff team is like her trying to find her family and, like, almost always just falling just short.
Yeah. Oh, so for Iris who doesn't know, Arya Stark is the youngest daughter of the Stark family, who are like they're kind of like the end all be all of Game of Thrones. Like, they're perfect. They're, like, always righteous, always in the right. Like, they're perfect. And her thing is that she wants to be one of the boys. She wants to be a warrior. She doesn't want to be a princess like her sister does. She wants to fight. And so she goes off, when her father is killed, she runs off, and she trains to be a warrior. She trains, and now she is. She's, like, one of the greatest, like, assassins in the world. But she's tiny, and she's always fighting up, and she's so loyal to her family.
Okay. All right.
So that's what you got.
All right. Awesome. I, for some reason, just forgot to fill in that blank. But based off of who I have for Sansa Stark, I'm going to make Arya Stark Nathan McKinnon.
Okay. So,
I like that.
So Arya Stark is the fighty one. Sansa Stark is more gonna, like, destroy you verbally and just, like, make you feel bad about yourself. And she's very, like, regal and high up. So my Arya Stark is Travis Konechny. And my Sansa Stark is Nolan Patrick.
Of course. Oh my god.
I feel like that is spot on casting.
I like that. I do.
I was really those were the first ones I put in. I was like, boom, no, that one.
See, I didn't put a connection between my Arya and my Sansa. I put Connor McDavid as Sansa Stark because he came into the league very naive, thought he was so lucky to end up with the Edmonton Oilers, and then watched all his friends and allies get slaughtered by Peter Chiarelli and Edmonton's management, and became this hardened, dead inside individual.
That's a good one.
I chose Gabe Landeskog as Sansa Stark.
That's it. Gabe's a princess.
I know, he's our pretty princess, our Swedish prince. It's fine.
Alright. Next up is Tyrion Lannister. Tiny, can lead an army, kind of like a trickster, break ankles kind of thing. So this is where I started to get Jamie and Cersei.
Mm-hmm.
So if Jamie and Cersei are Henrik and Daniel, their weird-looking little brother on the Canucks, trickster, break ankles, you love him anyway, Elias Pettersson.
I like that. I'm already like married to Elias Pettersson as Brienne of Tarth. So for me, my thing was Brad Marchand, because he has a bad rep, absolute horn dog, at least in the sense that he goes around licking men, and he's much smarter than he looks and secretly has a heart of gold.
That was, if I didn't have Littlefinger, that would have been Brad
Yeah.
Marchand would have been Tyrion.
Yeah.
I felt like Brad Marchand was too obvious for Tyrion.
I felt like he was too obvious for Littlefinger. That's why I like we flip-flopped completely.
Alright, here you guys.
I actually put Carrie Price. and just, just let him run away into the woods and enjoy his cowboy lifestyle. Like, that's lavish to him. Let him do it. And leave him alone. Don't talk to him.
Is his cowboy lifestyle like the whore that originally Tyrion wanted to like run away with?
If so.
That's what you want, go ahead.
I think that's what she's going for. The cowboy life is Shey. That's her name. I'm not calling our Shey a hooker.
Also, give him PK back at the end.
Oh yeah.
Alright. Oh my god, would that make PK Subban Braun? I think it would. I think that would make PK Subban Braun.
Whatever floats your boat.
Iris is like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
So, Jon Snow, he is like the good boy, perfect. The ultimate warrior, sacrifices himself for his brothers. Is probably going to be the one ending up on the Iron Throne, but that has nothing to do with who I picked. But there's also that link to Daenerys Targaryen, as the two of them are about to enter war together. So, my last two are kind of linked, but not super linked. Jon Snow is Morgan Riley.
Oh, Morgan.
I love that.
I thought about Jon Tavares, but Jon Tavares isn't likable enough. So I went with Morgan Riley.
I love that, and you guys are going to fucking hate this. Sidney Crosby is Jon Snow.
I hate you.
Fuck that shit.
They are the exact same person, and you cannot change my mind.
No.
And I have my actual
No,
reasons, but I'll phrase it in a way specifically to convince y'all. He's a highly regarded figure. Everyone forgives his fuck-ups because of how good he is at what he does, who he is, and how noble he acts. How about that?
He's a dirty player. Noble? What the fuck are you talking about?
But that goes back to Shay's other point of everyone forgives his fuck-ups, always.
Okay.
No, fuck that shit. I'm changing mine.
Okay, I'm saying
going
noble.
Brother of Arya and Sansa, fucking Claude Giroux. Fuck that shit. No, I have to balance out this evil that you put into the world.
Sidney Crosby is Jon Snow.
No.
Sidney Crosby is Jon Snow. Perfect parallel.
Sidney Crosby is Filch. Like, that's not, it's from Harry Potter. I can't remember his name in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Walder Frey. And TK is just gonna slit his neck and then take off his mask and be like the North remembers. Fuck you.
My face hurts from laughing. Oh my god.
So, like, I know Jon Tavares isn't likable enough for this, but I chose Jon Tavares anyways. So that's that.
Alright, so my Daenerys Targaryen, I didn't know we were doing coaches. So I thought about the dragons, and I based it off of that. The dragons, the relationship to Jon Snow, 3 dragons, 3-headed monster, relationship to Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen is Jon Tavares.
Okay, I see that.
If we were doing coaches, it would have been Mike Babcock. Didn't know we were doing coaches, so it's Jon Tavares.
I put Gritty. Do you want me to explain?
Yes.
because he has freed Flyers fans and truly just all people in general from our prison. Also, he's a bad bitch.
Alright.
Okay,
Who
alright.
you got as Daenerys?
I got Henrik Lundqvist.
Just the most gorgeous person you could think of.
I mean, like, yeah, but also, like, let's be real, he's kind of on his own. And he's kind of on his own.
I see that parallel really well, actually. I have one more character that is not on the list.
Alright, who you got?
Don Cherry is the Mad King.
I hate you.
I'm so pleased with myself.
Oh my god. Alright. Who do you have ending up on the Iron Throne?
Oh fuck, I forgot to do that part.
Wow.
Alright.
You did an extra one, but you didn't do the final one.
I'm so
Okay.
mad.
I'll start with the people who tweeted it. At PTV Jacob said Lou Lamorello, just because he's like old and he's feisty and the respect that he gains. At Comishfish12 said Gritty. At Mouthy Mitch said Alex Ovechkin. I am gonna go with at Comishfish12 and say Gritty. I feel like Gritty has rallied an army around him that he can fight with, that he has garnered the respect that nobody would dare challenge him, and he's also likable. Nobody's going to try and assassinate him.
Except for the other mascots.
Yeah.
Fuck Bailey.
Yuppie will try and kill Gritty. He wants his respect back.
Have you seen Bailey, the LA Kings mascot's tweets?
Oh yeah,
Bailey
he's savage.
is like bitter as fuck. Bailey is ready to throw down. But like I'll agree with that. I'll see that. I could also tie it in personally, I think my girl Dani can actually end up on the Iron Throne, so it works very well to go with Gritty.
Yeah. Alright. Iris, who do you put on the Iron Throne?
So I put John Tortorella. I put Torts.
You know what? That works out too.
I just feel it in my bones. Like, I feel it. And so that's what I went with.
There's your Mad King.
That's yeah. Torts was already on the Iron Throne and he shit his pants and they threw him out.
Alright. On that note, we are the For Puck's Sake podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Tweet in who you guys think would end up on the Iron Throne, or who, if you think we did a bad job casting, who you would cast as different Game of Thrones characters, or if you have any other takes about anything else that we talked about. Tweet us at For Puck's Sake Pod. Follow us on Instagram at For Puck's Sake Podcast, or on Tumblr, For Puck's Sake Podcast. We're around all week. We'll be on Twitter. We'll be on the internet in general. Buy t-shirts, please. If your team is underrepresented on t-shirts, tweet us and be like, hey, what about a Yotes t-shirt? And we'll be like, maybe. And we'll think about it. And we'll try and come up with some ideas. Every Friday, new t-shirts we're going to try. Yeah. That's all I got. What about you guys?
Yeet.
Wow, okay. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.